This is rebuilding our group on the Olympia Cremina. Have the tools necessary laid out. All of our group parts have been disassembled and cleaned. We have the new seals, gaskets, and parts all ready to go. This is probably one of the most common repair jobs, and almost a maintenance job on an Olympia Cremina, that whenever you have a standing leak through the group or up through the top seal, it's made to be rebuilt, and it's very simple to rebuild. It can be done on the machine. If you take it off, you're going to need a new seal back here against the boiler. I've taken off the feed tube. It just screws right off. It makes it just a lot easier to handle and to deal with. The first thing we're going to do is we install the rod washer. Once again, it's all clean inside and ready to work. We install it with the cup side down or facing you. The flat side seals against the back. I'm just reaching in with my finger and making sure that that little cup washer is seated down there in the bottom. I'm going to be putting in new hardware in there because the original hardware was rusted and the round retaining ring was a little bent. So once you find out that it's nicely sealed, you take the 4-hole washer. The holes are there in order to keep the cup expanded against the pressure, and you simply drop it in there and seat it in the bottom. It just sits on top of the other washer. Now I have gravitated toward these stubby little guys. I find them much easier to control than a full-size snap ring plier. We have two kinds. This one springs to open and this one is closed, so we use the black handled one. And just reach down, get a nice long grip on it. I like to use these because I can have enough room to put my other finger inside. Squeeze it tight and fit. Push down the back edge with your other finger. Now, what you need to do at this point, and the light's kind of good over in this direction, you can see in there, all right, at this point, you need to test to make sure that it's seated. There's a groove. So, see, it pushed down and it snapped right into place. Now, it should turn freely. See that? That everything should turn freely. That retaining ring is in the proper groove. I cleaned that groove out with a pick, and so it's all ready to accept all the parts. So everything is nice and free in there. Now, to put the piston seals on to the piston, once again I've cleaned, taken a pick, made sure all 4 of these holes were clear, that the cylinder is tight, or the piston is tight on the rod. And so I found that the most effective way to do this is really use a fair amount of lubricant. This is the Dow 111, and we want to put it all around on these seals. Not in the groove. We don't want to fill that up prematurely. It'll fill over time with lubricant and coffee and gunk, but just really lube it up back and all over the place, and it'll slip right on real easily when you do that. And of course your hands will be a little bit goopy, and you just stretch it over, and when it's all nicely lubricated, you can just squeeze it into place by hand. You don't really need any tools, and this is not a real good time with a brand new seal. You don't want to go picking and poking with anything sharp, pointy, or a screwdriver or anything. But I kind of found that this turns out to be the secret for making this a really easy job, is to use plenty of Dow 111 back, inside. This is going to be, it's high temperature, it's resistant, it will stay where you put it, and it just helps give an even better seal. And we just, like a rubber band going over the top of it, and once again, just work it with your fingers, with your thumbs, pushing it down. If you don't use the lubricant, a lot of times it doesn't seat against the inside of the piston, and then you have to worry about a lip. Now once you have that done, these small caps, we used to have a larger cap. Now I got so much dough on, I'm getting all dowed up. Alright, now this actually is a pretty tight fit, and so you screw it on. You notice that this is the square shoulder. A lot of repairers will on a grinder grind that hard shoulder off so they don't have to use any kind of insertion tool, and the newer models, I've seen pictures that they have gone ahead and beveled that edge. But I think Olympia did everything pretty much for a reason, and they put that hard edge on there, actually, if not just precision, for the tightening screws. Now we just take and, once again, lube it up. The seals will act like a squeegee and remove whatever excess, and it's inert, so it's not going to hurt anything. Now we take this, we have all of our hardware and our seal in, and we just kind of start this motion here. Hold it in one hand, and that cap fits really nice, and it just pops right down into place. Now I give some pressure with my thumb, and then look at that seal. We're going to have to fit that edge of that, the leading edge, inside the cylinder, kind of a shoehorn effect. So maintaining pressure with my thumb and fingers. I'll just keep on working to make sure that edge is there. We don't want to tear the front edge of the Viton, and there it went in. This back edge will just follow. Now we're in. I really had to pay very little attention to the alignment of this hole, because it's quite easy to change the alignment at this point. And probably the biggest challenge is screwing off the slippery little cap screw now. But we don't need it anymore. Till the next time. Now that that's installed, the easiest time to install your new portafilter gasket is before the screen goes on. So we'll go ahead and do that before we forget about it. And take the blunt end here and just work it down into the channel. In many ways, the best tool, once you get it mostly worked into the channel, the best tool for installing it is the portafilter itself. But we go ahead and put that in so it'll clear the deal. And while we're down in here, we'll snap this on. This is likely the original screen, but we catch one edge and snap it on with around the other edge. It's like putting a lid on a Tupperware. Now you can either put your lever yoke on now or later, but the basis of it is, you can see we have a little deformation here. It's not too bad. We take our pins, which I have cleaned, and once again I think that this is such a good lubricant that we'll lubricate these up. And I pop through the first one. Whoa, and I missed. I popped through the first one through the, and you see, you almost caught me on that one. I'm getting in a hurry. We pop the first one through here. Lower. We put in our roller pin. And this is often kind of a hard one to hit, but we start our next pin. And where are you? Where are you? You're over there somewhere. And as you can see, it's just a bit of a balancing act to find that roller pin. There. Now all that's left, installation of the other two clips, the top nuts, and we're finished with that rebuild.